something like a smite on the Lulu and you're leaving top lane to go help bot lane, that absolutely helps the identity of we're going to win through bot and help our hyper carry. Let's see now, let's track as this game goes on, who actually gets these early advantages in bot side and how they're going to arrange that. Because once is getting caught early and that's not going to help at all.
Well, yeah, there's something that's not going to help. It's walking right into a brush full of 5 enemy members. And that's not a great start, Sengoku.
Nope, that is one of the very worst starts you could have, because one of the things you want to do with, and it is going to be a smite top lane Lulu, is you want to leave the top lane, you want to go help out your jungler, you want to roam to your other lanes and get stuff started early. If you're giving over an early kill to the Aphelios of all things, who's starting with a double longsword now, who's going to be building into something like a Noon Quiver very, very early at this point, your wave control is going to be a lot less once he gets that item. Sengoku are going to really struggle, but they're not done yet. They're looking for something here.
Oh man, they're gonna try and play some Metal Gear Solid, sneaking into the Rascal Jester blue side and try to get something up. But yeah, I highly doubt anyone's gonna be there after that first blood they're gonna grab. And yeah, I'm talking about it. The double longsword start is gonna prove to be quite the uphill for Honey to get through. As we're looking at the runes coming out here, and yeah, just smite top on this Lulu, playing that second support, extra strong shields, and just the duo of death roaming around. As we're gonna get a look at the graph here. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a graph, there's all of this stuff, but you know what? I'm not bloody interested in it because Paz has gone and smited the first buff. This is very lane swap meta from your season 5, 6, 7. If you didn't watch back then, effectively you'd have someone teaming up with your jungler to double jungle. But what's happened is you got a very early level 3 on Jin Zhao, and they get to be able to dive a level 1 bot lane.
Oh, just play safe, guys. It's okay. As their dive does come in, immediate return, getting that kill credit onto Honey Sengoku. That's exactly what you need to get back in this game. Now, let's see if they can get away. The TP was committed here. Try and jump up forward. Everybody's pretty low. The blue buff will help out for cooldown.
Everyone's here.
Oh no, everyone is here. It's a party in bot lane, baby. As we will get another kill credit transferred over. Ooh, great reply from Rascal Jester, but man...
It is, because you look at how Sengoku tried to go towards that bot lane dive. Very, very clearly wanted to get an advantage in jungle, get a quick level 3, use the Jin Zhao's early power spike to dive that Aphelios who got the lead. This is exactly how it ends up. You can see it at level 3. It's not even on the second wave complete from Stolen Secret at this point. They don't even get to kill the minions quick enough under tower to get themselves level 2. I think they were just about 1 minion off. Such a sad situation for them. But the response from Rascal Jesters is timely. They do use the defensive teleports. We don't see a lot of aggressive teleports and dives anymore, but you can still go towards your own tower before 14 minutes, even after the teleport changes, and they use that effectively to kind of nullify the advantage which Sengoku had tried so hard to get.
Right, yeah, no unleashed teleport, no problem. Yeah, gonna use that defensive teleport just to get in and shore up the differences, you know, get that man advantage to get back to equal. Very nice job of them from Rascal Jester to realize that they can react that fast to get that, and for Secret to get that return kill, that flash hook from the Nautilus, you know, talking about those hitboxes, it worked out in this case. And Rascal Jester just playing not reactive, but, you know, a little preemptive, because they must have factored in, okay, the Lulu smite is going to be everywhere. We have to look out everywhere. And the timing on that teleport in response was so clean from them.
It was. And kind of, yeah, see some stuff in their mid lane, but I do really want to touch again, because let's be honest, we've talked, all of this game has been about who's actually getting leads in bot lane. Plays have come out from both sides, both are even, but Recap is the one getting caught.
Oh no, Recap has to flash over. Great baby cage put down to throw up the distance, but the Abyssal Dive comes up, and yeah, that's gonna be the flash forced out from the Volibear. And just these skirmishes all focus on this bot side. We were saying it's going to be a very bot-focused matchup, but I didn't think it's going to be bot-focused like this.
But this is the name tags you have on these AD carries. Everything has to revolve around them, because if they get gold, they are some of the very best at carrying. It's continuing again.
Oh man, Abyssal Dive into vision and still lands. We'll just walk Get out though. That's
Keep-
he's alive. Wait a minute. You can't let him get away with this. So you do have
They're still stuck under the tower.
The wave isn't there, and here comes Recap just waddling back down in the lane. They know they're all sitting there under the bush waiting for this wave to come in.
Oh, that's the kill. They're excited.
Honey will snipe. They're getting excited coming in the double kill. Make it 3-4-none as make it a return on. Yes, okay, that will be Recap getting the shutdown onto once. But yeah, just waiting for the wave to come and jumping straight in. Hachimecha was dead to rights on that 1 HP Volibear, and Sengoku just had to play the waiting game to walk it down.
This is such an interesting game to watch because you see Hachimecha just escape and then realize, hang on, this is just a ticking time bomb for Jinx to get excited, get that passive, and run down everyone else. Once again, Rascal Jester get something in return, but after such a good start, it's now the Aphelios sat on two deaths, and the Jinx on 2-0 and 2. How does this start? It starts once again with the wrecking ball of Xin Zhao on the bottom jungle, level 4, double buffs, out-leveling the Volibear, who can't go towards that fight. And Rascal Jesters don't have the teleport from the Gwen this time. They don't have the ability to run down the extended fight. And you can just see as the wave gets pushed in, it's sharks circling the water. There's blood everywhere, and Rascal Jesters, they've tried so hard to try and stabilize whatever the hell's happened in this early game. It's not quite worked out for them.
Man, Namera, it's kind of hilarious. You know, we're talking about starting off. It's like, oh no, accidentally we had once just get absolutely caught out and destroyed. But then they're like, hey, what if we just keep diving them over and over? And it's worked out twice in a row now. Sure, Ino's in the top lane getting a bunch of farm and hard pushing that tower, but we knew that was going to happen. We knew that was going to be the nature of this matchup. So seeing Sengoku just prioritize everywhere else on the map is something to be expected, and it's working out in their favor. And the gold is basically tied at this point, you know, slightly first.
It is. But when we're talking about the gold being tied, not all gold leads are the same, because this is one with a free top lane being pushed. There is 2 farm and level 2 onto Paz as Lulu. They are not being part of a laning phase, so Rascal Jesters are going to get themselves gold advantages elsewhere. Actually, let's track and see if there's any point where gold bounties start turning up too, whether that's on the Gwen or in terms of objective bounties, because that's one of the real turnaround effects of having something like a Smite top laner. You did talk about, of course, a lot of that gold, but let's talk about the objectives too, because we see that a dragon was taken for Sengoku. They get themselves another objective there. It's a recall stopping ultimate from Jinx, once again just being like, hey Sol, I see you there. Stops the recall, and as much as there was a rotation to get an early tower from Rascal Jesters, get that gold particularly onto that Aphelios too. Okay, let's track that again. More gold onto these AD carries. Whoop-de-doo. That's going to be incredible to see in these team fights. But Sengoku are still the ones who are first out onto the map and first to the Herald.
Yep, first to the Herald. They are starting it off, and it's going down rather fast as here comes the engage from
watch chat.
They're funneling straight into the meat grinder though. Oh my goodness, the damage comes down. Honey free firing on the back line, completely untouched. The man's still full health, and he's just gonna play cleanup duty as once jumps in, flashes right back out. And just in that exchange, we were talking about, you saw the free firing from Honey, the damage he was able to pump out there. Whew. Absolutely.
That was crazy, because that ends up in being what, a 2-for-1 to the side of Rascal Jester, who are the team who's like, okay, you know, gave a lot of gold up to that Jinx. Maybe they're starting to fall behind in this game. Gold leads, what does that matter against the Smite top lane? Let's see how this obviously erupts. Jet has a great position in this fight and gets a 3-man central Volibear ult. Absolutely absurd. It is onto a Vigar ult, and that buys just enough time for Sol to start stacking up the Severin Crescendum combo when you have the chakrams flying everywhere as your arms just fly out in all directions. But as we can see, the early gold being injected into these carries means that they are bloody, they're explosive, and they're very short.
Absolutely, putting the carry and AD carry for sure. And that last fight was I really felt it could have gone the way of Sengoku more so if they just, you know, tweaked it just a little bit, maybe a different target selection from Jet. That's neither here nor there though, as we're talking about how Sol went complete Beyblade mode and just short up any sort of advantage that we're gonna have in that fight. The Herald was picked up by Sengoku though. That's really good to just add to more of their pushing power to break these towers open and break the map some more and just continue to completely dominate the rotations side of the map.
Okay, so let's go check in with some of our big carries again, because while we've been talking about the AD carries, and we will continue
Yes.
to do that, this Gwen is about to pop their cull. They picked up the cull early because they knew they were going to have a free lane, and they've done... Wow, okay, I mean, Jet has the
Oh,
Viger ultimate. This
Jet
could be a kill.
forcing the flash. Very good job there.
So let's not just talk about the Gwen, talk about the Sylas as well, both looking very strong as respective solo laners across the Rift.
Yeah, he's 0, 1, and 4, but that damage is not negligible at all, as they are gonna go and drop the Herald down here, break open this bot tower, and you see it. There's just 4 of them all just staying in a pack, and Jet just off doing his own thing. He's like, all right, guys, y'all have fun down there. I got mid, no worries. Just ping me if you need me.
But the thing is that, like, if it's going to be ping me if you need me, that's what they've been doing the entire game. Essentially, you must wait until issuing additional pings, because they've been to bot lane so many times. It's the scene of the crime, it's the scene of the murder, and Rascal Jester's finally let that tower go. But a lot of that gold is sitting once again on the hyper carries pockets of Sengoku. So we have side lanes starting to open up at this point. Plates around for another minute or two. The Herald's already down. Question is, you know, what is going to be the next real calling card for both of these teams? You don't have an obvious dive threat at this point from Sengoku, as much as you'd like to start trying to hammer down on the Aphelios again. I don't think Sengoku are going to have as easy a time of it. So for me, what I'm looking to see is if Sengoku starts stalling out a little bit now, and what their options are.
Oh no. Speaking of options, I know he doesn't seem to be out of them. Has the Ghost available, and I think 2 seconds.
I don't know. It's gonna be another re-up here.
It's gonna jump it in. Oh yeah, as soon as it comes up, he's gonna use it. He's gonna speed out of there. No danger at all. Just, you know, chilling. Have the TP if necessary.
Well,
and
I mean, that was very, very close from being in no danger at all to, wow, I'm really in danger, because the Vigar ult timed out like a second or two too early. Because it works off of missing HP, the lower HP you are, the more it executes. Very lucky from Ino to get out of that alive. Burns the Ghost, does have the teleport still, as does Jet, so that could have meant there could have been another big play coming in towards the Dragon, but it's still before 14 minutes, not able to teleport absolutely everywhere on the map just yet. Sengoku claim a second Dragon, and it's the Hextech Rift with the outer towers down in top and bot lane. Actually, those gates are going to be quite important, because if you've got this Gwen pushing up again, and someone gates in behind them, that's going to be changing the way you have to play this lane. The same goes, of course, on the other side. If Sengoku send anyone to an open side lane in that top lane.
Absolutely. The Hextech Rift definitely lends more #winning ability to the team that is ahead, especially as crazy as Sengoku's been playing with how much they've been around the map, so they can definitely utilize those teleporters to get around the map a lot faster, a lot more effectively. You know, get these flanks, get these ambush 2v1 skirmishes that they're going to want to get, because I do feel like we're approaching that point in the game where Rascal Jester's 5v5 could prove to be a bit more deadly than Sengoku's, just by the nature of the, you know, champions that they do have. The Nautilus doing all the CC, the Volibear jumping in, Hachimecha can just jump in onto multiple people, and like the only quote-unquote tanks that you have are Inti on the Tom Kinch, and then once on the Xin Zhao.
I mean, Zhen's ultimate makes you pretty tanky, especially against the long-range carries, but we'll see how tanky everyone's going to be, as it seems like we have another fight brewing. It's the top lane this time.
Oh man, 2 fights on 2 fronts, as we do have a split map, but yeah, the top lane does look to be the focus. Is going to steal the ultimate. Oh, Jet once again has a volley ultimate, but the TP will be called from Rascal Jester here, leaving Soul all alone in this mid lane with a very hungry Kench rocking at him. And
so that's actually really interesting. I was like, ooh, there's going to be a tower dive. This is going to be great. And then you realize when the volley barrel is stolen, you can use the stolen volley barrel to also turn off those towers. I hadn't even considered that at this point. But because the way this map has turned out with these you know, the Sengoku bot lane outer tower, the Rascal Jester top lane outer tower being the next points of contention, that could be really, really important. And what a great game it is to see these teams problem solving their way through this early game. What a crazy way to play out this game between maybe our second best teams in the region. We know that the FM is strong. We know that they're looking towards these teams, though, as probably their biggest competition. And this is not disappointing at all.
For sure, and we were talking about it in draft and pregame, looking towards more so the team fighting timeline of this match and how it's going to devolve into something of that nature, and watching how this early game was going to go, it definitely didn't go the way I expected it to. But for them to be
Yeah, you and me both, buddy.
it's essentially even across the board in kills and gold, just in different ways and in different pockets, this is an even head-to-head game for the second place spot.
It is, and now we have to look up and see, okay, what are the roles of each of these players? Who are going to be the main characters in this game? We talked about the bot laners, yes, we talked about Ino, and Ino actually I want to dig in a little bit deeper on, because Ino was the weak side player for all of last year on Axis. He played with Honey. This is a bit of an old teammate face-off. These were two players on what I would have said in terms of 2021 Axis, the second best team in the region. Well, funnily enough, now they're fighting up for that same kind of spot behind DFM for another year in a row. And I know on a very different role to what he was last year. He's on this Gwen, and while he did have a couple of good games on it, I loved his Renekton on weak side. I loved his Gangplank as well. Now given a lot of resources and a chance to really shine, it's great to see now if he's actually taken a step beyond and started to flourish with those resources too.
For sure, last year was the growth year. This year's my villain arc, as you know, most of the kids say nowadays. I know, looking to show Honey is like, hey man, you were great, but I'm pretty great too. As
what would your villain origin story be? Would it? I know what mine is. Mine was Burning Core Sengoku from last split. But what would make you into a real villain?
Well, to be honest, my villain origin story happened in 2014 LCS Spring. That 80-minute game between Complexity and Curse.
Oh, Complexity! Oh my gosh, that's a huge throwback, but I remember that. That was a legendary one.
I was yelling at my computer screen, and I was like, there's no way League can get worse than this, and somehow it did. But speaking back to this game with some good League of Legends here, some team fighting action in the mid lane, and everybody's getting away. Once again, Hachimecha just keeps living off of like 2 HP. Maybe he'll get sniped out looking for Honey, but nah,
yeah, where's that Jinx ult? Where's that Jinx ult? There's a smite. That means that Hachimecha is going to be healing up, but they're still not in position to defend this tower. Second Herald goes down. Mid lane tower in danger.
Very much. And Shelly's going to get a charge off. They will be able to take her down before they do crack that tower open. 13 seconds till Hextech Drake, and RJ looking a little worse for wear here. A lot of cooldowns used, a lot of summoners still available, luckily enough for RJ, but the re-engage is more so on the side of Sengoku here, should they choose to go in. But pushing, they're probably going to
push. One thing I want to... Okay, that's the cage. Let's think about this fight.
Oh no, so there's a re-engage. Hachimecha once again living through all of that. The ultimate comes down from Sol as he pushes forward. Not gonna be able to pick up any kills. Nobody is dying in these fights, Namera. Oh man, we see Secret get tagged.
Really close run affair, because the Tahm Kench ult saves the Jinx in that last fight. As soon as Sol pops that Chakram ult though, very hard to stand and fight. He doesn't have it for a Drake contest right now if they were to choose to go to it. Though that rocket did a lot of damage.
Check with TP on the backside though. Jet is TPing behind enemy line. Jumps in, will get immediately collapsed on, jumping over is once as well, will claim Secret's life as the re-engage is still there, and Ino will return favor onto Jet. It's just a 1-for-1 and low health bars all around, but Sengoku are on the run, and here comes Ino charging in.
Oh,
on the backside though, manages to jump in and get himself a double. He's still alive, fading fast, and he will drop down. Look at the DPS coming out from Honey, this super fed Jinx doing super fed things, and that's Sengoku cleaning up the fight for a basically a delayed ace, and they're picking up their...
That's gonna be the sole point as well. That's 3 dragons. They picked up all of them, and where the hell do we start dissecting this? We saw Act 1. We saw the fight in that over mid lane priority. It was all about trying to play around the baby cage from Vigar. This time though, it's the teleports which swing things around. Jet comes in from the back of this from a ward which is hidden just behind that wolf pit, of course, but doesn't actually manage to get as clean a kill combo as they would like. They don't manage to get the 2 kills, and it's going to be Recap, really, that punishes them from going a little too far. Then Ino enters the fray. We talked about this Gwen being really, really important in terms of the amount of gold that they have, but Ino isn't able to DPS down Honey. Honey is still sat here, still firing out rockets, and Gwen has used a lot of the damage at this point. Ino doesn't find the right angle. Jet kind of does, and I mean, one AD carry dies, one of them lives. That tends to be the story of big team fights.
Yeah, and it was just a little bit of an awkward re-engage there by Recap, as he didn't really have a lot of mana to work with when he decided to flash in an Everfrost to try to get that stun off, and just immediately got collapsed on, breaking the formation that they had when they were coming down there. Had they maybe decided to peel off instead of going completely in. I don't know who's calling what. RJ might have actually won that fight, but Honey,
Oh, so
that
close.
damage. Oh my goodness, that damage was insane. As we're back to the mid lane here, gonna try and play some good old NA RAM as they're trying to crack this mid tower.
Honey's
So Baby
caught,
Cage
but they
comes
have
out.
this ult.
Ooh, good old Tom Kinch, baby. Fires
Oh,
back
yes, with the ult!
with the fadeaway rocket. Just gonna take recap back to Gray Screen City as they're pushing.
Can I just say, I am so glad to see Honey back on form. 6-0-2. The hyper carry of Japan is back. They're back towards the Baron. They pick up themselves a massive pick. They're going to get themselves a Baron. Now, the question is, how much can Rascal Jester take while they're finishing that objective?
Well, this looking they're trying to get 2 towers. Call it Lord of the Rings. As I know is going to have some solo time with his inhibitor. They managed to get the Baron, sure, Sengoku, but they're going to lose a good bit off the map from it. I know going to run for his life, maybe meet his team back towards red buff as the push down mid starts here. Just a pretty decent trade on the side of RJ, unless, you know, Sengoku decides to push more. But it looks like they're going to take the Baron and a tower for their trouble and get out. But wait, no.
Oh,
Jet gets caught. Oh, has to volley ult out. Will miss off from Hachimecha's re-engage. And okay, he's out with his life. But man, that was a close situation.
So close. Because you can see what Rascal Jesters are trying to do. They're saying, okay, you're getting the Baron, but we can try and punish the fact that you don't have waves in the right place. This is exactly what Tom Kench is here for. In the meantime, though, on this replay, and I mean, Honey, he's putting on an absolute show for us. That was a great ult. Just the great calculation.
That's so unfortunate though, because if Hachimecha didn't move in front of Recap would have lived. The rocket would have missed him. It was the splash damage that killed him, the max range splash damage from the Jinx rocket.
Scumbag Hachimecha.
Right. He's like, I'm living through all these engages, but Recap, not so much, buddy.
Okay. All right. So, really interesting thing coming out from Honey now as well. I was actually wondering if he was going to go towards this item because he's picked up a Storm Razor third.
Yes.
When you have the Fire Cannon and you have the rockets, the Storm Razor slow on that auto becomes really, really nasty when you're playing around priority in the mid lane. You're fighting over those waves. One straight auto attack can really hurt this Rascal Jester's lineup. Now, once again, Gwen is split from the team, has a teleport, has a ghost, is pushing in a side lane. Rascal Jester just trying to hold on for dear life in the mid lane though, because they're not winning in this 4v4.
Yeah, the 4v4 right now is nigh impossible, almost as a 5v5, is they are going to continue pushing on his mid tower. Just the amount of just backup that Honey has, you know, with the Tom Kinch from NC, with the Lulu from Paz, has the, you know, the Shirelias with all of that boosted up onto this 6-0-2 Jinx. It's so difficult to push in on any sort of objective or defend any sort of objective, as you have this super roided up star magical girl running at you with multiple guns saying, fight me, I dare you.
And speaking of fight me, I dare you, look at that top left corner. That is, well, look at both top corners actually. That's a Baron which is timing off. So, but that is just going to be overlapping with the Dragon Spawn for the Hextech Soul. Rascal Jesters feels like they have one more chance to finish off this fight. Jet steals the Nautilus ultimate. It's another engage option. And Rascal Jesters, they need to find a good pick to start this fight, because I think if they go into the 5v5, we talked about the bot lane resources, we talked about our hyper carries and our MVP material.
Oh, y'all don't want to walk like that.
We need to see Rascal Jesters try and take a pick.
Oh man, they're all grouping up straight together here, straight 5v5 bodies on top of each other. Jet has a clear angle on the side. The engage comes in.
That's a good
ult flashes straight in. Oh, that's so much damage as everybody's falling left and right on the side of Rascal Jesters. Once is just on a rampage, jumping straight in, and Honey off the back line will manage to zap Hachimecha, not getting out alive on this time, and Jet, the man with the plan, making it happen, as this is a
he makes it happen, and it's gonna get them the soul. That's the huge factor in this fight. You see what happens. You can see the Rascal Jesters know that they need to get the first kill, but they leave themselves open to a flank. Jet cuts them down. I'm gonna go back to see how it happens in that replay. I really want to praise actually Jet and Once in this fight, because I think that Once has such a disruptive fight for the backline as well. Jet skirts around the vision. That's one thing about approaching these objectives hastily, like Rascal Jesters had to. You sometimes have some holes in your net, and this hole is big enough to let this team fight slip through it. Look at how once dives into the back line too, gets right into the thick of things. It's Jet, it's Honey, it's Once. They're making an absolute mess of Rascal Jesters in these team fights.
Oh my goodness. NC living off of that is actually a crime. Man, Tom Kinch is a champion, I tell you what.
Wait, I've never heard of someone like not being murdered being a crime before. Normally you assume that them being murdered is the actual problem.
I don't know, punishing for living can definitely be a thing if your name is Thomas Kinchis, the evil catfish. This man, like, he could not have had over 2 digits of HP there, and he's just like, yeah, I'm good, great health, whatever. But just look at that engaged, like Jet stealing Secret's Nautilus ultimate. Nah, that was so smart. The planning way ahead of time, getting either, you know, Hachimetra or Secret's ultimates there, super key, and getting around vision like that. Like Rascal Jester just funneling straight down towards Dragon.
Okay, there's gonna be a cage here.
Stopping my
Oh,
like, hey,
heck.
stopwatches. Okay, cool. But here comes the TP once again. Jet gonna jump right into the thick of things. He will go stasis himself, or rather, Hachimetra will have to, and will get dropped down. Paz somehow gets the kill credit from that. Okay, as Soul jumping forward, gonna ult. Doesn't have the greatest gun combination.
Oh, okay, here comes Once.
Oh, but Once will shut it down. No party for Rascal Jester, just going straight in the bin. As Honey's gonna net up, just gonna pad the KD8 a little bit more. 9-0.
That's gonna be the game, you have to feel. That has to be the game. Sengoku, they pull out a fight when they're approaching the top side, maybe setting up towards Baron. Rascal Jesters again, too hasty in how they approach the team fights, and Sengoku will stand alone in second place.
Yeah, it's all up to Recap as he watches the rest of his base melt under gunfire and smoke and spells from Sengoku Gaming, as they will claim the second place spot here in this 4th game of the day.
And what a game it was. It was crazy from start to finish, right from that level 1, once getting picked off. Leading into really strange map states, they still hammered home on that bot lane. They stuck clear to their game plan, their objectives of getting the Jinx ahead. And who better to pilot it than this monster